Create Art Podcast. Project NaPoWriMo, otherwise known as National Poetry Writing Month. Hello friends, this is Timothy Chemo Bryan, your head instigator for Create Art Podcast, where I bring my 20 plus years of experience in the arts and education world to help you tame your inner critic and create more than you consume. So this month is National Poetry Writing Month. Happens every April. And National Poetry Writing Month is known as NaPoWriMo, and it's a creative writing project. And what they do is they give you prompts. If you go to the NaPoWriMo website at NaPoWriMo.net, and they'll give you 30 prompts for the 30 days in April. Now, on the website, you can also interact with other people. This year is going to be different from the previous years that I've done this project. This year, I'm going to be writing poetry throughout the year, and I am following a different prompt than the one that the National Poetry Writing Month folks do. Now, I've been doing poetry since 1988. I know for a lot of people here, they're like, whoa, the 1900s. But I've been doing it for a long time. I've been writing poetry for a long time and performing my poetry. So this year, like I said, I'm going to be writing all throughout the year. And the blog that I'm using is called Think Written. And the links for that will be in the show notes. I'm also going to be performing these works at Couture Coffee House here in Fredericksburg, Virginia on their Friday Night Snaps open mic poetry reading. You'll have a link for that again in the show notes. And a lot of people, they ask me, hey, Tim, why do you do this to yourself every year? And my answer to that is, if I'm going to ask you to be, taming your inner critic and creating things, then I need to be doing it too, right alongside you. So that's why this year I'm doing it a little bit different, but I will be interacting with the poets there on the NaPoWriMo site. And we'll see how this goes. I'm pretty excited to be doing it this way. So today's prompt is life didn't go as planned. Write about a recent or memorable experience when nothing went according to plan. So this one I've entitled The Last Time I Cried. It wasn't too cold that day. My car was starting, sporadically. It was a Friday, and I was forgotten in the waiting room. The nurse had me type in my information. She was unable to hold a thought for more than 5 minutes. Then back to the waiting room of forgetting. The resident came in, way younger than me, way more handsome. Probably was having a threesome that night. He wanted to get out of there. I wanted to get out of there. Friday at 4 p.m., both of our minds were elsewhere. He brought in his teacher, the real doctor. His accent was probably not as thick as I perceived. Between the nurse, the resident, and this doc, I am surprised any of them hadn't been sued or assaulted. And that's when they told me, welcome to the world of MS. And they rushed me out. The receptionist had left an hour ago. So the head nurse practitioner had to check me out. He was the only one with an ounce of kindness. I made it through the hospital in downtown Richmond. I had been there before. Had the ticking time bomb removed from my brain. And I remembered how shitty I was treated back then. And I wondered why I came back. Oh yeah, I'm a Desaad fan. The car didn't start. I lit a cigarette. The car didn't start. I'm not sure why I thought it would. I walked around the car, smoking another cigarette. Underneath a sign that says, don't. Just as I was about to call home, the car started. Driving up I-95 on a Friday before spring break. There was a lot of time to contemplate. Making my way home, I said no, no, no. 5 years of frustration. 5 years of MRIs, MRAs, CT scans, spikes pressed 5 times into my back, blood tests galore for every known disease. Finally understanding why so many things happened. Finally realizing that I was never lazy. Finally realizing that what was wrong with me had a name. It wasn't me all along. Making it through the front door, the children were asleep. The wife was on the couch. I knew we would be there for a while. Talked till her yawns couldn't keep her eyes open, and then we slept. Saturday with the children didn't cause the waterworks. It was when my wife got back from her errands that it all hit me. And my kids wonder why Papa doesn't cry. They've never seen it. And I know it's bad to think, but they may never. Even then, I couldn't weep for myself in front of them. Retiring to our room, as she followed close by, I made it in, shut the door, and heard my dead mother's voice calling me selfish. And selfishly I cried. All right, so that was my poem for this day for National Poetry Writing Month. I hope you enjoyed it. You can go right to the website, createartpodcast.com, and you can go ahead and comment right there in the comment section if you like. Now, something I'd like to ask you is, if you enjoyed it, shoot me an email. Timothy@createartpodcast.com. I want to hear about your journey, and I want to hear about what you're working on. And if you'd like to be on the show or, would like to discuss a topic that's giving you trouble, well, then go ahead and email me. Let's start that conversation. I also want to let you know about another podcast that I do, and that one is called Find a Podcast About, and that's where I help you find your next binge-worthy podcast and outsmart that algorithm. You can find that podcast at findapodcastabout.xyz. Last thing I'd like to say here is if you found value in the show, let me know. Pass it on to a friend. If you have ideas on what I could do better to make this a 5-star podcast, I want to hear about those too. I want to be helping you with your art, to be bold with your art, as I do it right beside you. I'll see you next time.